my municipal solid waste today. So if we just go about 8 to 10 years back, when SBM kicked in India, it basically shifted the focus from a visual cleanliness to sustainable solid waste management. So we started talking about waste circularity, which essentially means developing an industrial ecosystem, involving private sector, creating jobs, creating market for treated and recycled waste products. And everything was supposed to revolve around waste, right? Now, the question is, why Bio-CNG? If you look at the Indian urban landscape of waste management, about more than half of the waste, in some cities it is even higher, is biodegradable in nature. So, and that accounts for more than 75,000 tons every day, right? On the contrary, if you look at how much CNG India imports, I have a figure for the last year, 23-24. It is 830 crore kg that we imported from fossil fuel sources, of course. And this is not the entire import. It is about 70 to 80%, which is used in the transportation sector, automobile sector. The rest is basically used in the industrial sector, right? And this trend is expected to increase by about 15 to 20% year on year. So this year, the figure is going to be even higher. Now let's look at the potential of the biodegradable municipal waste as compared to bio-CNG production. If we assume that the entire quantum of biodegradable waste that urban India produces every day, it is converted to bio-CNG, then we can produce about 2,500 tons of bio-CNG every day. Okay. And this accounts for about 75,000 a month and 9 lakh ton a year. Now, if you compare this number to the import, it is roughly about 9 to 10% of the CNG that we import for our automobile and other sectors. And if we calculate a market value of this potential, it translates to about 4,975 crore. Right? So the potential is huge. Now, what are the enablers that we have? We have a very strong policy landscape. We have a national biofuel policy that aims that by 2030, India will reduce its crude oil import by 14 billion US dollar per year, which translates to about more than 1 lakh crore every year. And this is further propelled by this biofuel policy is further propelled by schemes, flagship programs like Swachh Bharat Mission, like Satat, like Govardhan, which are designed with adequate financial allocation to propel bio-CNG production in the by the municipal governments. Now, the context of the study that we are going to discuss almost for the entire day or till lunch, it's not the entire day. Basically, we tried to delve into this agenda, that what is the current status? How much of the biodegradable municipal waste is currently being realized for bio-CNG? And what are the challenges? What are the way forwards? How can we unlock this potential for our journey towards the green energy? So that is basically the context. And I will leave the floor, and my colleague Kaifi Javed, who has authored the report, he will come and present it. And we are extremely privileged to be joined by wonderful panelists, and they will share the wealth of their experience when we invite them. Before that, we have keynote speakers. I have my Director General Sunita ji here with us. Unfortunately, Madam Rupa Mishra couldn't make it to the event. Till yesterday, she was confirmed, but then she had to go for an urgent meeting with her minister. So, but she has told us to kind of brief her about what came out of this event. We have already shared the report with her along with the summary of findings. And then the ministry will look into the outcome of this event and explore how this can be further reflected in policy and implementation landscape. Briefly about the agenda, you all have got your copies. So we will start with a keynote address by Sunita ji. Before that, Kaifi will make a very small presentation about what came out of this study, what are the key findings, and then we'll take a break. After the break, we'll have a rich panel and we'll ask them questions, and they come from a very diverse sector like industry, like academicians, like researchers, like urban local governments. And After the panel discussion, we'll open up the floor to all of you, so you can ask questions. This program is going live, and we have received overwhelming response. In fact, we received more requests than we can possibly accommodate in this room. And but before I leave the floor and I invite Sunita ji, I would request her and Kefi to please come join us and release the report. Kefi?
CSC side, we got back end.
Now I have to do something that ma'am actually hates. Yeah, okay. We can do that. Yeah, sure. Okay, right. I knew that. Okay, sure. Okay, Kefi, over to you.
Please.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming and attending this event. So I would like to begin by extending a warm welcome of Sunita Narayane ma'am and my team and all the distinguished panelists and the speakers who have joined us here today. So for me, it's an honor to present to you the key finding of this recent study. Here, we are going to discuss a pressing question for the urban India, that how we can convert our growing waste burden into the clean energy opportunities. So today I will be sharing a key finding from our latest research, Bio-CNG from the Municipal Solid Waste, a pathway for the sustainable waste management and green energy. So this study explores how Indian city can use a segregated organic waste to produce Bio-CNG, reducing fossil fuel dependency, and as well as cleaning our city and greening our economy. So with that, let us first understand what is the current scenario of our organic waste management in the urban local body. So as we know, urban India produce approximately 1.5 lakh metric ton of municipal solid waste daily, with 40 to 60% is organic waste, amounting nearly 60 to 90,000 ton per day. So majority of this waste is being processed through the composting. Despite existing composting infrastructure, more of the, if you'll see that, so more of the installed capacity, so 96% being, is contributed by the composting. But despite existing composting infrastructure, building a sustainable value chain around the compost remain a significant challenge due to the issues like poor source segregation, weak market linkage, and the poor infrastructure. While organic waste holds immense potential for clean energy generation, particularly through anaerobic digestion and basically through the biomethanation route, but still the potential is untapped. So we'll try to see through this report how we can actually grab that opportunity. So after keeping this thing in mind, to gain the clear understanding of biomethanation CNG landscape, we undertook this study with the 5 objectives. First, to evaluate the current status and the potential of bio-CNG production from the segregated municipal solid waste. Then I examined the financial and technical and operational aspects of the bio-CNG plant across different urban contexts. So that we have also assessed, case-based evidence from the operational plant, so that if it is for the other city, it would be learning for them that what kind of challenges they have encountered during making this plant successful, and to also to identify the major bottleneck like waste segregation, FOM market, plant economics, and the policy gap in order to recommend policy action, implementation strategy, and roles of various stakeholders to scale up Bio-CNG across the Indian city. So let's just for a quick what is the Bio-CNG? So to who is not familiar with the Bio-CNG, let me just simplify for you. So Bio-CNG is a compressed biogas purified to over 90% methane produced through the anaerobic digestion of segregated organic waste. So why we are calling Bio-CNG? Because it is the quality is same or composition is same as like CNG, but it is producing through the organic waste. So that is why we are calling Bio-CNG, and it can be utilized as same as like CNG, like in the vehicle, in the industry and the cooking. So if you estimate, like if you have 1 ton of organic waste and you are treating through this Bio-CNG plant, so you can mitigate something around 41,000 kg of CO2 equivalent GHG emission. Along with that, you will also get, you'll recover the energy and the organic manure as well. And looking into the process of the Bio-CNG production, so you first have to require a segregated waste, and that has to be collected and transported to the facility. So you may have to require at least 90% of the segregated organic waste. And then it's followed by it is pre-treatment, so where size reduction and slurry formation takes place in order to further get feed into the anaerobic digestion for further biogas generation. So once we will get the raw biogas, so it will further get upgraded in order to meet the requirement of BIS standard and make it compatible with the CNG. So here you have to require at least 90% of the methane concentration through different scrubbing method. And then you for the marketing and for the utilization, you have to compress it and you have to bottle it. We also get another bioproduct, which is FOM, which can also use as a organic fertilizer. So here, in composting, we only get one product, which is compost, and here we are getting two product, which is Bio-CNG and the organic manure as well. Looking into the enabling policies of Bio-CNG, which is first most important is SATAT, which assured the which assured the CBG of stake through the oil and marketing company at a minimum procurement cost of 55 rupees kg. Then we have a Gobardhan, so which provide the finance. So in the last union budget 2023 to 2024, 10,000 crore were allocated to establish 500 new waste to wealth plant, out of which 200 were compressed biogas plant, and that has to be and out of 200 also there are 75 has to be established in the urban area. So when we are saying urban area, then it's definitely related with somehow municipal solid waste. Now, a Swachh Bharat mission, so that also encourages more than 3 lakh population the city who has a more than 3 lakh population can shift their organic waste management from the compost to biomethanation. And if any chance, if the city cannot meet the above requirement like 3 lakh population, they can also make a cluster based approach where 2-3 ULB can adjoin the hand, and then then they can actually have a common Bio-CNG plant or biomethanation plant. Apart from this, there are also supporting policies is there, which gives you a kind of promotes its uses and also provide the standards like biofuel policy, which promote the biofuel use. And there is a like BIS standard, which provides you a biogas and Bio-CNG composition, and also provide design, construction, and the operational guidelines, also the code of practices. Whereas in the MNRE, which provide you a central finance assistance, and CERC, which gives you tariff for the electricity if you are generating electricity out of biogas. So now, we got the idea of like having we know the problem, we have a policy, enough policy support and financial support. So let's see the potential out of municipal solid waste. So India's theoretical potential from the MSW based Bio-CNG plant is 2523 ton per day, so which is equivalent to about 14 crore worth of clean fuel every day. But the actual installed capacity is just 46 TPD, which means only 1.82% of our potential is being realized. So in which also like Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra have made early progress by installing the plant in Indore and the Pune. While state like Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, Telangana and West Bengal, despite high waste volume and having a potential city, are significantly underperforming. So this gap also presents the both a challenge and the opportunity as well. So as I mentioned earlier, the total Bio-CNG generation potential from the organic waste across all 40 ULB is estimated at around 2523 TPD. However, since a minimum viable Bio-CNG plant of 2 TPD required 60 to 70 ton of segregated organic waste per day, I have classified the cities into the 4 category of starting from with the minimum 50 ton and it can goes more than 500 ton of segregated organic waste. Based on this assessment, so we have found like only 65 city currently meet the threshold to implement Bio-CNG technology. So the practical Bio-CNG generation from the practical Bio-CNG generation from the segregated organic waste is therefore around 1715 TPD. So nearly 70 city each generating a 920 ton of Bio-CNG, which can contribute to the 50% of the total potential. So now we have we got the idea also, like we know the potential as well, but there is also a several consideration we have to take while setting Bio-CNG plant based on municipal solid waste. So first most is like segregation, which has to be at least 90%. And I have also, you also have to consider the impurities which is coming into the feedstock, and also the how much land is required, what could be the capital cost and the monthly operating cost. So before setting up this Bio-CNG plant, it is essential to assess its feasibility. So what I have done, like to understand this better, we modeled a 5 TPD Bio-CNG plant using real world data provided by the stakeholder. Okay, so here what we have found, like if you have to establish 5 ton of Bio-CNG plant, you definitely require a first segregation in place of at least 90%, and then feedstock requirement will be 172 ton 0.5 TPD. So we always forget to consider this impurity. So that I have observed while while studying the plant. So I thought of I got the idea that we also have to consider the impurities as well. So that's also we have to consider. And the capital cost goes around 35 crore, and the monthly operation cost could be 40 lakh rupees per month. And also I have considered collection and transportation cost, which is 1,000. That I will also explain that why I have considered this collection and transportation cost in my analysis. So now looking into the this capital cost expenditure, so that is 35 crore. So if you see the distribution, so most of the money is going into the biogas digester, pre-treatment unit, and this purification unit, which is the most important component of this Bio-CNG plant. Now looking into the operational cost distribution, so in the OPEX, I have considered 2 cases. First, operating the plant, whosoever is operating, either municipality or let's say project developer. So here, if you are considering your plant operation with the collection and transportation, or you are considering OPEX with collection and transportation. So let's see the first without collection and transportation. So here, as you can see, the most of the money is going into this electricity and the manpower to run the plant. But in the when we are operating the plant after considering with collection and transportation, as you can see, like more than half of the cost is going into the collection and transportation, that you will also get to understand in the later slide, how it affect in the plant's feasibility. Now let us understand. So for the to see the feasibility of this plant, like in what condition our plant would be feasible, and in what cases our plant would be in
You need to explain this.
Yeah.
So when CAFE says excluding collection and transportation of waste, it basically means municipality is paying that cost and is bringing the waste to the facility. So I think it's important for us to understand that. I'm sure many of you do, but I definitely asked him that question.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So let's say we are as a municipality or as a plant developer, you are operating the plant, uh, excluding the collection and transportation cost of waste. So here, in the first case, let's say you are generating your plant is functioning on 90% efficiency, and you are utilizing 100% of your Bio-CNG. That means you are selling your 100% of your Bio-CNG. Here you will get the net profit of like 34.25 lakh, and their return of investment would be 8.5 year, 5 year. So still it's make us somehow feasible. And if you again add up the revenue of FOM as well, like if you are selling your 100% generated Bio-CNG, and also you are selling FOM as well. So here you will get the net profit of 61.75 lakh, which will drastically reduce your ROI by 5. Okay, so in this both case, your plant will be feasible. Now, considering this plant operation, including collection and transportation of waste. So in this case, if you are still utilizing your 100% of the Bio-CNG, you are selling your Bio-CNG. So here you will be in the loss. So here we can, the ROI would be difficult to calculate. So now coming into the in the same case, in the same case, if you are utilizing your 100% of the Bio-CNG and the FOM as well. So here at least you will have a net profit of 10 lakh, but the ROI is in a very higher side, which cannot be achieved in the life cycle of this whole plant. So here in the both case, the plant would be not feasible. So here we got a two learning. First, the importance of FOM utilization, and second is collection and transportation should be bared by municipality. Okay, so the municipality will either hire a different agency for the collection and transportation, or that can be integrated with the plant, where they can also provide the cost for the collection and transportation. With that, our study highlight five core bottleneck. First is low segregation rate and contaminated feedstock, which is because unlike other feedstock, it has a very heterogeneity. So like if you are using a press mud or you are using a Napier grass, so there you know the uniformity of the feedstock. But here you never know what kind of feedstock you are getting on a regular basis. So that's why so it's also hamper the operation efficiency of the plant and the gas production as well. And high capex due to imported equipment. So most of the equipment is being imported from the different countries. So that's also add up in the cost. And the undefined ULB and developer roles. So let's say any project developer approach a municipality, and also municipality does not have an idea what kind of service they have to provide and what kind of service plant operator has to provide. So let's say in the Indore municipality is providing the segregated organic waste to the premises. But in some cases, when project developer approach the municipality, so they want everything from get it done by the project developer. And that is what actually losing the project developer at that time also losing the interest of and showing the interest to establish the plant. Even the city has a potential to have a Bio-CNG plant. weak Bio-CNG and FOM offtake system. So currently we have we are more rely on the oil and marketing company for the Bio-CNG offtake, but it can also be utilized in the municipal vehicle itself, or maybe it can also connect to the pipeline, city pipeline for further gas distribution. And also we know that for the FOM offtake, we have a very weak acceptance across the stakeholder, majorly from the farmer and all. But there are also several plants which are adding up some nutrient, and they are handling in such a way that they are also utilizing in a efficient manner. Now, no centralized monitoring for the plant performance. So, but that I will also explain in the later slide where I'm discussing the way forward. So with that, for the better implementation of Bio-CNG plant based on MSW, what we need to do? First, we have to mandate the source segregation, and also we have to conduct a periodic waste quantification and characterization, so that as a project developer or as a municipality, you will be always updated with your city's waste generation quantity and also with the quality. And then strengthen the PPP model in the million+ cities, so that more project developer can be interested to establish the plant, and encourage the local manufacturing of the Bio-CNG technology, so that it would be easy accessible to project developer and also the local or kind of a local project developer, a small project developer. And then develop a real-time national dashboard. So while my course of study, that was not present, but I just got to know like 1 month before only that there is a waste to wealth portal where you have to update each and everything related to Bio-CNG or waste to energy plant. So there is a need of a strengthening of that plant, because this we got the learning from the operating compost plant where we have invested so much of money, but that cannot be compromised right now with the Bio-CNG. So there is a need of a strengthening of it, so that on a regular basis the centralized monitoring can be done, and its performance can be improved. Now recognize and incentivize the FOM. So right now we already have a MDA for incentivizing it, but still there is a hesitancy from the stakeholder side, like from the larger consumer like farmer and all. So there is a need of a better incentivization and better marketing of it, and also promote the Bio-CNG in the waste transportation fleet and the municipal services. So, in the most of the plant, if you go in the big city, so most of the collection and transportation vehicle is built with the fossil fuel based engine. So what we can do, we should explore the retrofitting of that existing collection and transportation vehicle with the CNG vehicle, so that for the big city itself, they don't have to approach to OMC oil and marketing company. They can directly fill their own vehicle, because they have every day there is a requirement of large quantity of fuel for running the collection and transportation vehicle. So with that, I thanks to everyone for attentively listening to this presentation. So we'll definitely look forward with this discussion. Thank you so much.
So if I may request Sunita ma'am to please kindly address it.
ये वाला चला देंगे? Excuse me. The light's not on. Is it audible? Good. So thank you, Kefi, and thank you, Atin, for continuing this work. I'm very excited by this work of CSE, and excited to see the potential of doing this work to fix what I think is one of India's biggest problems of waste management. CSE's work in this started a few years ago. Actually, we were very impressed to see the Indore effort, and very impressed particularly because we saw it as a value addition. And we saw it as something which would improve the incentive for municipalities to do better segregation. So for us, the interest is waste management. And we believe that better solid waste management at the municipal level required municipalities to see a profit coming out of it. Otherwise, they see it only as costs that they have to bear, and they're not able to bear those costs, and therefore they are not seeing a value chain in this waste, in the waste system. So a few years ago, Atin and I were asked to provide some inputs to a report that was being considered by the Prime Minister, by the Honorable Prime Minister, on the issue of circularity. And we very strongly said that we needed to support what we believed was a real viable model coming out of Indore, which was a model where segregated waste, and the bottom line of this is segregated waste, has a value addition. And we were looking at this to say that there is other options other than just composting. Now, most of us do home composting. I do home composting with wet waste. It's clearly one good approach for every household to do, but it also requires land, and it requires a different system of being able to operate the waste system of the city. You can't do it across the city. So even as we promote composting at the household level, segregation at the household level, for a municipality, the value addition comes out of being able to use that wet waste for generating gas, and in this case, a manure that can also be sold. And there is a third revenue stream which could be added to it, which is carbon credits. And as we get more sophisticated in the monitoring of carbon credits, we could even add to it soil health indicators. So there are a lot of opportunities here in which these plants would become extremely viable, as Kefi has said, but also for us. And for us, we're not plant operators. You have to understand. We have no interest in setting up an industry on Bio-CNG. We're interested in finding a waste problem for the country. And we believe this is a perfect waste solution because you're making waste into wealth. And you're making not just the dry waste, but also the wet waste into wealth. Now this, and this is the point I was making also to Gupta ji at the beginning, is we are beyond talking about the potential of this. The idea is powerful. We did this, I think 2021, 2022, 22. Then came the union budget. There is the Satarth program. There is, everything is in place. And yet, as you saw from the data, the plants are not getting built. And even if they're getting built, the obstacles are so much that my worry is that they're going to become white elephants very soon. My colleague Shobit is here, who has been looking at Bio-CNG from not just municipal waste, but from all waste streams. And what my concern was when we did that report is, why is municipal waste not becoming a viable option for Bio-CNG plants? This was in the state of UP. UP has given huge incentives for Bio-CNG operators, yet we found it was Napier grass, which was becoming more a source of raw material than municipal solid waste. Now, to me, this is not, I mean, I'm not against Napier grass, please don't get me wrong, but that was not the purpose with which the Bio-CNG plants were conceptualized. They were conceptualized as an answer to the wet waste problem of this country, where we are mixing wet and dry, and as a result of it, waste is becoming waste, not a resource. And that was really what was the purpose of the Bio-CNG plants. Yet this was not happening. Press mud is taking off, which is very good because it's also a waste material, but everything else is not a waste material. So why are we investing so much into it? And we also, in our feasibility of those plants, essentially came out saying that there are two parts to this puzzle. There is a part of the raw material supply, and there is a part of the offtake of the produced material. Those are the two that need to be fixed. And invariably, we are finding that they are not getting integrated. So the plant operators are setting up the plants, and I'm not, please forgive me, this is not about present company, but my fear is that the plant operators will set up the plants only because there's such good subsidies available, land is available, you set up a plant, but then you don't have raw material, and then you don't have offtake. And you're defeating the very purpose that the plants were conceptualized for, which was for waste circularity. So this is when I requested Atin and Kefi that please look at municipal solid waste, because this seems to be missing in the whole equation. Why is this not happening when the Bio-CNG work started actually, and we have to keep reminding us, the idea came from Indore. And we have to keep recognizing the fact that that work was extraordinary and remains extraordinary because of two essential issues. One, they have a municipality which is collecting at the household level segregated waste. Now, because it's the municipality, the cost of collection and transportation are low. It's not just the fact that the private operator has to collect it, but the private operator, every time the concessions have been given for collection of segregated waste, we are finding the municipalities are not able, it's not viable for municipalities. So the first question that we have to start asking is, what is the viable system for collection of segregated waste and transportation of segregated waste? And that is to me one of the biggest Achilles heels still in this whole business. And we need to fix it. And we cannot fix it, and this is my concern and my point with Kefi and Atin is, our recommendation in CSC is not to disconnect the operator from the collection. Because our experience has been, and I'm also going back to another system that we are working on, which is FSTPs, fecal sludge treatment plants, where again we are finding that the plants are being set up, but there is no sludge. And yet we know that our rivers are drowning in excreta. So the irony of this is that you set up a plant with the assumption, with all these lovely numbers, potential itna hai, wet waste itna hai, itna waste hai, plant laga do, viable ho jayega, but you haven't fixed the collection and transportation system. Now, if you disconnect the transportation and collection from the operation, there is no way that plant can work, in my view, because those plants are not viable to begin with. They're viable only when you have an assured feedstock coming in. Okay? It's like setting up a coal plant without an agreement, and already the coal plants are crying because Coal India, koila nahi deta, acha nahi deta, sab kuch hai. So then you have captive plants, all the rest of it. Your feedstock is what the plant requires. Without feedstock, there is no plant. And that's why people are doing Napier grass, because they can grow the grass and cut it and bring it. We have to fix this, and there is no easy answer to it. But there's no shortcut to it either. So all this talk कि आप plant लगा लीजिए, हाँ वो municipality आपको waste भेज देगी, operator कोई hire कर लेगी, waste भेज देगी. That operator has no incentive to bring you segregated waste. They will bring you unsegregated waste. This is exactly what is happening to the waste to energy plants across, where unsegregated waste is coming to the plant. And then if you go to any of those plants, which unfortunately none of you can unless you're an operator, because they're operated in full secrecy, which is also part of the problem. I hope Bio-CNG plants don't operate in secrecy, because that will create more problem for all of you. And I'm promising you that leads to such a loss of credibility as has happened to the waste to energy plants. But I have been to a waste to energy plant because as my role as Supreme Court, as a member of Supreme Court authority, I was allowed access to those plants. And you find it's completely unsegregated waste. Okay, it's 1,000 rupees that you're getting paid to receive the waste, but then you put in huge amount of money to be able to segregate it. Usme CND bhi hai, usme sab kuch mixed hai, plastic bhi mixed hai, wet waste bhi mixed hai. Phir aap usko dry karte hain. Then when I went to see the incinerator, it's all mixed waste which is getting burnt, which means that the quality of fuel you get is very poor. The quality of emissions you get are very high. And that then leads to a problem of the waste to energy plant becoming unviable. So the Bio-CNG plant must understand, and I think that's our biggest lesson, is don't repeat the mistakes of setting up a plant without the feedstock. The model that has come from Indore tells us the feedstock has to be assured. And the feedstock has to be, the agency which is bringing the feedstock must have a stake in the running of the plant as well. You can't divorce the two, in my view. Now, I'm sure there are some better business models. Frankly, I'm willing to learn from anything. And one of our things at CSC is we will, if any one of you have better models to teach us, we will go out and understand it. The idea is to improve integration. Integration with feedstock, quality of feedstock, so that it's segregated, high quality, less impurities, leads to better biomethanation and better gas. That's the first integration that is required. It's also required that the cost of collection and transportation is something that is understood and part of the plant economics. And that is again part of something that we need to understand, look for options and understand what will reduce the cost of transportation and collection. Will it mean better user charges? Will it mean more deterrence at the user end? Will it be more local plants? What will it mean? One of the case studies here has been of plants that are set up at vegetable markets, which are like a big biogas plant at a vegetable market, clearly assured segregated waste. I mean, but that's not the model for every part and not for all cities. We need scaled up models. We need models which can deal with wet waste at scale. So that's the first big issue. And I hope today's conference will, I'm raising to you issues that are in my mind that need to be resolved as we move ahead. And my request to Atin and Kefi would be that you focus on these 4 or 5 issues so that when we talk to Rupa, we talk to other municipalities as well, we can talk about what needs to be done to fix the first part of the problem, which is assured high quality feedstock at affordable rates so that the plant operations can happen. That's the first very important part. The second part of the integration has to be offtake of gas. Now, one of the things I find very strange, and please understand, I am old at this. When CSC, when CNG work happened in Delhi, Burilalji and I were in the middle of it, okay? We brought in CNG into Delhi in 2001, 1998 to 2001. And at that time, the biggest issue for us was to make sure that the dispensers of gas were close to where the offtake of gas is going to be, okay? वो मदर स्टेशन, डॉटर स्टेशन, बूस्टर स्टेशन जो भी हो, मगर वो वहां हो जहां आपकी गैस बिकेगी. That was the second part of it. Now, what I find very strange is that you're not setting up the plant where there is offtake. So then you look at long pipelines, you look at transportation with tankers, that increases the cost. When we did the UP study, we found that one of the biggest sources, one of the highest costs that the plants were paying was the distance they needed to carry the gas to. Now, if I was again in the Supreme Court committee, I would certainly have mandated that anywhere there is a Bio-CNG plant, you should mandate that in a radius of that plant, you can only use gas. That's what we did in Delhi. So Delhi, one of the reasons why CNG took off was to mandate the use in diesel to replace diesel. I'm not sure you will get that, but you have a gas which is available. The point is, and you're getting a good price for that gas, and it's market price that you're getting for gas. It is not, it is a gas which is viable for running transportation systems, which is one of the highest costs for any city, for anyone to pay. So integration with the gas system, now this is where a municipal Bio-CNG plant should definitely score higher than a press mud or a Napier gas based plant, because they are largely in rural areas. The plants that are being set up in Punjab using Bio and others companies using rice straw are facing huge problems because the gas supply needs to be transported. Now, again, in cities, that should not be a problem. You should be able to set up a plant and sell the gas. But that integration needs to be, it's a critical part of the plant economics. But the biggest part of the plant economics, which has been my biggest bugbear, has been the sale of FOM. Okay? Now, in the sale of FOM, and CSC, as you know, has a lab, we test, and we have tested compost and FOM for different plants that we got. Essentially, what is very clear is that when you are testing compost, it has a very high ratio of nitrogen, unless it is mixed with an adequate amount of leaf litter. So then your CNN ratio becomes adequate. The way ICIR and Gupta ji is here, my biggest conversation has been, please make those standards better so that we can understand what is the ratio between nitrogen and carbon that is needed. Now, the other part of it is, suppose the ratio is broad. Can you at least make sure you have standards for different kinds of manure so that farmers get clear idea what are they applying and for what? You cannot treat Indian farmers as if you can just give them anything in a bag and they're going to take it and they're going to put it in the soil. Indian farmers are the wisest people I know, only because they need to grow crops and they put in a huge investment into growing it. And if they put in anything into their soil which destroys the crop, they have a massive loss. They can't afford taking risk. They can't afford adventurism. You and I can afford adventurism. Chalo, dekh lete hain, try kar lete hain. I keep trying. I love growing. So I keep trying. And I can afford it, but I can't also. Because when you're growing a seed, it takes a long time for the seed to grow and then to mature. And suppose I put something in the soil which has destroyed my crop, I can't afford it. So can we not have FOM standards, not just to increase the moisture content? Because that seems to be the way the industry is thinking, कि liquid ka moisture high kar do, baki ka solid hona chahiye. Now, please understand the maths of this. Higher the moisture, higher the pathogens. Okay? So you have to figure this out, because higher the pathogens means higher the contamination in the soil. We don't want that either. So we need an effective standard which looks at this product, which is high in carbon, not high in nitrogen, high in carbon, and gives a value to it and explains to farmers what is it that you would use this product for, and it is liquid, or you can solidify it, which comes at a higher cost. What is it that you would use it for? So that integration is still not happened. Now, again, for 2 years, we've been discussing FOM standards. The last I saw was there was some standard that had come out, which was high in liquid, allowing higher moisture as compared to the compost. I don't agree with that. I also don't agree with any standard which is voluntary in nature. No farmer is going to accept anything unless there is some clarity what that product is about. And that's where the role of ICAR, PUSA, all the agricultural institutes becomes critical. They have to give us an idea what is the best to do for the farmers. What is it that, after all, when I look at fertilizers that come, I get a fertilizer which is phosphate 0050, I get NPK, I get all sorts of different permutations so that to use on different crops at different times. Why can't I have the same permutation when it comes to fertilizers which are coming out of compost or Bio-CNG plants? Now, again, that will depend on feedstock, because when we tested, we found the feedstock made a difference in the quality and in the FOM as well. So when we collected the FOM from Punjab, it had a different characteristic to when we collected an FOM from, say, Indore. Okay. Now, can we get a broad understanding? Can we get an average, or can we get different standards, so that farmers have an ability to understand the value of FOM? And I believe the value of FOM will further get enhanced, because a high carbon FOM means improvement in the carbon profile of the soil, which allows us then to be able to look at how you can harness the carbon credits for the soil as well. But again, how do you measure carbon in the soil? Farmers need better tools to measure those. So essentially, the bottom line of what I'm saying is that the Bio-CNG work is not about setting up a plant. It is about 3 critical integrations. One, with the municipal or the city collection and transportation system, so that the feedstock can be assured and be high quality. And that is still not getting fixed, because the plants are being set up without that integration assured or working through it. What are the models that will work? What are the cost of it? KEFI has presented to you 2 models, 2 costs. We need much more to be done to understand what more can be done, what are better models that are coming out. But that integration is critical. The second integration is with the sale of gas, CNG. We need to work with oil companies, understand from oil companies what more can be done and what needs to be done as closest, so that that gas is highly productive. And remember, it replaces diesel in most of these places, which means it reduces air pollution as well. So, and you have a massive issue of public transport in most cities. So if you could have Bio-CNG driven buses, you could have a double, triple win there. But it means getting into the business of gas. And the third part is the most difficult one, which is to get into the business of farmers. And unfortunately, people who work in cities don't understand farmers. People who work in gas don't understand farmers. And I think this is where Bio-CNG makes it into a fascinating issue, because you're bringing all of India together. You can't do this without understanding every part of India. You have to understand the value chain of waste. You have to understand the business of gas. And you have to understand, most importantly and critically, soil health and farmer livelihoods. Farmers do not take decisions because you give them 1 bag free and 3 bags they pay for. Okay? I have seen those bags being packed in the waste to energy plants. They are shredded plastic bags. Okay? I would not like any Indian farmer to put those into the soil. So I think it's important for us to also be clear that we are in a transformative business. This is not a business which is setting up a plant. In this Bio-CNG business is a transformative business because it is about soil health and urban health, and it connects the two. That's why I get very excited about it. And I'm also very depressed at one level that we are not making enough progress. And I'm hoping that today's conversation will be the beginning of our work now at the next level. First level was just to understand what's happening, but now to understand where are the barriers and how can cities start really operating those plants and making those plants so that they are viable and that we can make sure that this becomes it achieves the purpose that we have set up. So that has to be our common goal now. And I'm hoping we can all work together to make sure that this happens. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. So now it's time for a tea break to freshen up. And the good news is that we are going to get slightly more time than we thought because we are slightly ahead of time. But I would request you all to come back to this room so that we can start the panel discussion in time. Thank you so much. Please go outside and enjoy the tea.
Good. Speak to them. I'm never available. I'm always on my phone.